So in the last video, I went through, cleaned up the cylinder heads, and got everything bolted together. And I was missing a valve spring. I still went down and torqued down the heads and then put the valve spring on afterwards. That worked out. So I was missing a valve spring, keepers, retainer, some lifters, a few things like that. So I just went and bought a head from the junkyard, wherever the hell it's at, stole that valve spring down in there, and put it all on after the heads were bolted on. Got the caps all lined out, got the cams lined out, and did timing. So I want to show the timing marks. I'm sure there's a few videos on these, but I'll give you a quick overview of where the timing marks line out. So looking at the engine from this direction, bank 1, bank 2. So the cool thing is, both intake gears are the same exact gear, so you can put them on either side. Same as the exhaust, same as the guides, the timing chain guides. This one will obviously go on this side. It lines up. You'll figure out where that one goes. This one has a steel pin and goes here, and then your one tensioner here. Pretty obvious where that goes. And then these tensioners, you have to put them on before you put any of the gears or chains on. And so that dial indicator there is off at an angle. Why they're different, I don't know, but this one's straight over. So those can only go in one place. And same with the cap. On this side, this cap's at an angle. And I don't think you can get caps mixed up. In a previous video, so we have, let's see if I can find my marks. Oh, should be on this side. So this is L2. Let me see if I actually have that correct. Oh yeah, so there's, on the cap is a factory L2 mark, and I just marked the cylinder head before I've added anything. So L3, L4, mark these caps, plus you can't get these backwards. That way you can't get them side to side. Don't even know if you can, but I scribed everything. So if you come over here, we'll find a sensor, see if I did a good job. So we've got 13, and I probably scribed that on the sensor side. And I was trying to find where I put this mark at, but anyways, I came in here. I'm sure it's here somewhere. I just can't see it right now. So I scribed all these. Let me find a good example. Let's see. Should be, okay, so 27, and I scribed that sensor 27. I'm sure they might be pretty obvious and everything, but that only takes a minute to mark all the sensors to the block. So, with everything lined out, crank gear is at, we'll call it 1 o'clock, I suppose. And then you have a dot. Not quite. Let's see. Well, this part is almost flat down here. We'll call that 5:30 or 6. So there's that guy. You come up, and you've got your one colored link here. And it was kind of confusing at first, so you've got a dimple of where they crimp that on. You've got one mark here, one mark here. I'm assuming this is if you put it on the other side. So runs down here. We've got, oh, you know what? These were probably flipped on the other sides before, so that makes sense now. So this cam gear was probably originally on that side, on the other head. So you've got this dimple and this dimple. So those are on the different sides. They'll line out pretty obviously. So then you've got bank 2 and bank 1. So this is bank 1, colored link, lines up with the cap. You've got colored link On the back side of the camshaft, not sure, let me get a flashlight. There's 2 dots on there. You'll probably be able to see bank. So there's the 2 dots, and then 1 link over, or 2 link over, is another dot. So that lines up colored link, that gear lines up. And so once you get these guys set, then you can roll this timing chain on. The other thing is you have a flat spot on this gear. The only way you can get this chain on is that flat spot facing towards there. So you got to rotate these gears back and forth. The only thing you got to be aware of is not rotating the engine into the valves. So I use a breaker bar, not a ratchet, because if it pops over on the cam gears, it'll rotate fast. You can control it with the breaker bar. And then I was just putting a crescent wrench on my flats on here. So yeah, so bank 2 back here, you'll be able to see that's the 1 dot right there. If it was on bank 1, back in there's 2 dots. Colored link lining up with the cap. And then you've got bank 2, colored link lining up with the cap. Yeah, I am reusing the VVTs. I'm sure they're really expensive, but not a big deal. And then back here on this gear, you see there's a pin that locates that, the bushing on it. And right back in here is an oiler hole. You'll see that those line up. And then you got an Allen wrench that lines all that guy up. And then this gear doesn't really matter. It does face a certain way. You'll kind of see the bolt will line up. The bushing and everything will line up. So I guess the bolt is recessed into there. Bolt recesses into there, and then this is a surface that it rides on the back side. So everything's pretty straightforward. This will allow me to, what next? Put on whatever the bed plate, and then I can start putting everything else together. You got to build this engine from the bottom up, something like that. So bed plate, front cover, then timing covers.